So you want to learn how to make $3,000 trading futures. I'm going to show you step by step, show you some trades from the live stream today, and I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret here. I got a little secret to explain. If you guys don't have this on your chart, this indicator that we're going to talk about here in this video, if you don't have it on your chart, you're missing out. I'm telling you right now, this indicator is something that you have to have. You got to have it on your charts, and we're going to break it down. I'm going to show you guys a couple trades from today in the live stream, making over $3,000 trading in the Topstep Combine, and getting to that point through step 2. We're going to get to the funded account. We're going to make them so much freaking money. So let's dive into the action and show you guys what went down today.
Yeah.
There's that move down to the 30s now. See if we break through the 30s, down to the 26s being a good target here. Got that low down there at the 26.75 level. See if we can break through the 30s here. Moving my stop on this trade basically to break even. Still like to see this break below the 30s here. Get a nice big winner below the 30s. Liking this move so far. Let's get this break down to the 26s. Here we go, down to the 26s now. 25s coming up $1,400. Taking a little bit of profit there at the 25s. See if we can keep riding this momentum. We can just move our stops down with this. Look for the 20s now. Beautiful. Down there to the 24s. Looking for 22s coming up. Just moving my stop down to guarantee that we lock in at least $300 here. And then look for another entry short. There we go. Getting stopped out there. So we locked that in at least. Getting short here again. This looks like it's going to crack down to the 20s again. Let's see if this is going to just crack down there to the 20s. Let's move down to the 20s. Down, 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 baby. Taking a little bit off right there. I'd like to see this break right through the 20 level, though. Look at them. I like this. I think this SPY is going 401 here. 401 on the SPY. Let's put it down to the 410s. So I think we get this break below the 420 here. 4,020 on the ES. Putting the SPY down to the 401s flat. The low, we've kind of been bouncing off that 20 level. So we're going to retest that 20 level here. See if we break right through that 20s, down to the 15s. Should be able to go 15s here. Let's see if we can get that move down 14s here. Take one off at the 14s. Down there, 1450 getting filled. Got another order out there at the 11s. That 401 area on the SPY. Go, 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 baby. 412s. I'm going to take one off right there. Just in case this kind of wants to bounce. Still got one order out there for a move lower here to the, there we go, down to the 12s. Can we get this 11 area to break? I'm going to take it off right there at the 10s just to lock it in. All right, so you guys saw the live trade. I did that during the live stream this morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. If you haven't already tuned in, make sure you tune in, hit that subscribe button. Also, leave a comment down below. Are you already using this indicator that I'm going to be talking about here in a second? Are you already using it? I'm wondering how many people out there are already using this indicator, and if you're not, if you're going to add it to your charts. Let me know in the comments below. So let's talk about this secret indicator. So the indicator that we're going to be talking about here that I've been kind of alluding to, and how I was able to hold on to those shorts. Why was I able to hold on to those shorts? Why did I think the market would go lower? Why did I have confidence in those trades? And it's because of this one simple indicator. Obviously, I have multiple charts. I got the Bookmap. I've got all these charts pulled up, but there's something about the pivot points. I'm telling you right now, there is something special when it comes to these pivot points. Now, what's really cool about these pivot points, first off, is it's automatic. I don't have to draw it. I don't have to plot it. Every day when the market opens on the SPY, these pivot points are placed based on the overall movement in the market and giving you an idea of where possible pivot points could happen, support, resistance. When we look at the chart here, what do we got? We got this move. This is a 15-minute chart. You can see this is on the SPY. Now, obviously, I'm trading the ES, which is futures, but I like to put the pivot points on the SPY just because it's a little cleaner, it's a little easier. It's like, okay, 400, 399. And then obviously that will translate over to the futures market, just knowing kind of where the overall ETF, the SPY is at and things like that. So first off, if you want to add indicators to your charts on the TradingView charts, it's very simple. It'll say pivot points standard. Actually, it's been updated there as well. And my settings are very simple. I have it set to traditional. I have it to auto. Number of pivots, only one. And yeah, it's all pretty much simple. I also changed the colors of the lines just to white. That way I was like, it doesn't really matter to me, but whatever. You can do it however you want. But that's pretty much the setup. Also on this chart, I have the 21 EMA. The 21 EMA just gives me a pretty good idea of where the trend is. You know, if we're below the 21 EMA, obviously we're bearish. So the idea the market would continue to go lower until we get a break above the 21 EMA, and then we start to get a move up. Now, what's really nice about these pivot points, again, is it's totally automatic. I don't have to draw it. I don't have to figure out, like, oh my gosh, where are these pivot points at? It's already done for me. So you can see, you know, if I take this off, boom, the pivot points are on there perfectly. And this is funny because, you know, in hindsight, you're probably like, yeah, well, anybody could put those on there, and, you know, in hindsight, but I had these on the charts during the live stream. If you guys want to watch the live stream, you can see me talking about it as it was happening. Right out of the gates, we open up at that 403 level there on the SPY, which is that first pivot area. Now, you can see we kind of bounced around there for a little bit, and then we broke down below that, and look where we went next. What I want to point out is we are holding at that first pivot. Now, if I'm trying to get short, if I get short right there for this breakdown, where's my target? Like, where am I thinking the SPY is going to go? Well, first off, right there. It's going to go to that next pivot. It's simple. The pivot, 400. Well, if we can't hold that pivot, where do we go next? We go to this next pivot. So I'm basically entering a trade at that 402 level. I'm riding it down to the 400s. I can move my stop. I can look to see what happens at this level. And then I can have confidence that if we don't hold here, well, the next support would be down at this next pivot area, that 398.58. And what's interesting is we got all the way down here to 395, kind of being the low on this pivot right here. So we broke through the first pivot, the second support pivot, the third support pivot, and then we bounced off of the S3 being the fourth pivot there. Support, I mean, that might be wrong, 1, 2, 3. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But what you can see here is the market decided that it was going to bounce. If we go to the smaller time frames, let's go to the 3-minute time frame, you can see how well this respects these pivots. Again, on the 3-minute chart, look, we got stuck right at that 403 level. We're bouncing at open. Okay, we're finding support, but then bam, we break through it. And then guess what happens? We make the leg down. We're in the middle between these pivots. And look, boom, the next leg drops from the 402. I got a short on this beautiful short down to the 400s. And again, look at that. It's not a coincidence, guys. This is not like, you know, oh, he's just gotten lucky. Like, this is not a coincidence that these pivots work so well on the SPY, right? There's not a coincidence by any means. The key here, the secret to this whole strategy at the end of the day is, do I want to be opening positions in the middle of these pivots? No, I don't want to be, right? I want to be short here at the top of that pivot, looking for that next pivot. I don't want to be opening positions here in the middle. You know, if I do, it's based on the overall, you know, strategy, whatever the chart. But in general, knowing that these pivots are kind of like magnets, where do I want to be opening my positions? I want to be opening my positions, you know, when we break below these pivots, or when we're, you know, bouncing off these pivots if I'm trying to get long, things like that. Now, what you can see here on the 3-minute chart, we break below that pivot at the 461, and guess what? We then turn that pivot into resistance. Very clear, you know, resistance, resistance, resistance. These candles can't get back above that pivot. It's not a secret. This is not witchcraft. This is not magic, right? I'm not just putting this out there after the fact. You guys saw the trades. You saw that I had, if you watched the live stream this morning, you saw me talking about it, breaking below that 400 level. And look, we broke the downside. Beautiful. Now, let's keep going. Look at this. We break below that 398 level, and look, we got almost, I mean, on the dot, pretty much like right there at that 396. And what's interesting here, I want to point out, is at the end of the day, there's going to be what it's called basically like kind of front running, in the sense of like, if there's a support level down here, there's going to be buyers kind of stacking up, trying to be like, hey, you know, and if we get any type of bounce, any type of like support, buyers might try to rush in. They might try to buy, you know, on the ask, and they're going to kind of front run that first support area, or that support area in general. So the idea is, you know, okay, the market is pulling back to this support. Well, and then buyers are like, well, you know, they're going to try to jump in long. And what's interesting, if you look here on the 3-minute, guess what? We then pushed back up to that pivot, that next pivot, the one that we already broke through, that 398 level. We know that we already broke through that. And what was interesting looking at the volume profile as well is we kind of just dropped right through that pivot. And then we kind of filled back up in there, you know, getting some volume in there. The market's never going to just like go straight down, you know, obviously sometimes it does, but in general, the market's kind of moving through these liquidity levels. And as you can see here, you know, ding, 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 we're kind of just going sideways at where? At that pivot, guys, at the freaking pivot. So again, you know, not to be in hindsight, like I know everyone's gonna be like, yeah, it's easy to look in hindsight, but we talked about this during the live stream so many times. All right, we're like, okay, if the market can't hold here, market would push to 400. That would be an ideal, move up. Well, guess what? We didn't hold that pivot. And guess where we went? Down there to 396. And guess what 396 is? That's where that freaking pivot is. It's not magic, guys. I know someone's going to comment and be like, yeah, but it's a hindsight. Again, we talked about this in live stream during the market. Oh, during the action, we're talking about this. And look at that, 396. And guess where we're at now? We're in the middle. So it's like, what do I want to do? Do I want to short here thinking we're going to pull back to the 396 level? It really depends on what your overall strategy is. But, you're much better to be opening position when we break below that support or when we bounced off there. And the thing here is it's not a coincidence. Like, it's literally not a coincidence that we bounced perfectly off that 396 level. It's not just luck. Like, we didn't get lucky. This isn't gambling. You can see, bang, 396. What happens? It bounced. Perfectly bounced off that 396 level. So, what do we know? Again, these resistance lines are pretty much like spot on for the overall market to move through. They're going to kind of move up, find support, try to find support. If they can't move up, well, then you get that pullback. And if you look here at the Bookmap, you can see these areas of liquidity. It's all about liquidity. It's all about where the buyers and sellers are. The market's not going to just go, straight down. The market needs buyers and sellers to move. The market, isn't just like this thing where it's like, okay, everyone sell, and it just goes straight down. It's not going to work like that. It needs the buyers, it needs volume, it needs action, it needs someone to be kind of making liquidity so that the market can move. So even when we're getting this push up, it's like, okay, we're getting this push up, but maybe, as this thing's pushing up, we're going to push up to that previous what? We're pushing up to that previous pivot point, my friends. Look at this. So let's say I'm trying to get short. If I wanted to get short here, where's my short target? I would basically look for this to get pushed up to that 398 level. I look for it to get denied. Give me a setup, give me an overall, opportunity to get short. And then I would short that once we get confirmation that we can't go higher. At the end of the day, the market's kind of already had a bigger move today, so I'm not sure I'd want to be, getting short right now here in the last hour of the day. But in general, you can see it's not rocket science. Again, guess what? The market got stuck right there at that pivot. Literally, like this is happening in real time right now. That market, the SPY, just got stuck right there at that pivot. So, what does this prove? That these pivots are very, important to have on your charts. So like every indicator that we talk about here on the channel, no indicator by itself is the end all be all. But the pivots give me a pretty good idea of, possible moves to the upside or to the downside. If we're bullish, is there a chance that we're going to keep going higher? Like, where's that next pivot? Where's that next resistance? Where's that next support? It's giving me a overall kind of blueprint of where the market could possibly move. It gives me pretty good confidence as well. If I'm in a position, I'm in the green, I'm like, look, that next pivot's not down there until 396, so I have no reason to cover yet. I know that the market basically, moves around these pivots. So why should I cover? And that's exactly why I didn't cover on a lot of those positions. You saw me making $1,000 live here on the live stream this morning, locking in $3,325 in the Topstep Combine. So again, what we're looking for. We're looking for the overall trend. We're looking for the overall setups. We have the pivots on the chart to give us an idea of what's going on, but you can't simply just trade off the pivot. Combining pivots with overall breakdowns, with the overall EMAs, with the overall trend, with the overall setup, Fibonacci, whatever you want to do, you can add all these different indicators. And if I have 4 or 5 indicators that are all telling me like, hey, look, this is a short. If I have 5 indicators that are telling me like, hey, this is a long, well, that's going to make me more confident in the move. It's going to make me more confident to really kind of capitalize off of that position. So there it is, breaking it all down, the pivots. I'm telling you right now, add the pivots to your charts, my friend.
Yeah.